in other ways. My teacher, Ajahn Chai, he did 4th grade, that's all. He became this amazing, wonderful, kind, the wisest man I've ever known. My teacher, Ajahn Chai. It proved a point to me. You don't need to have a degree to be happy, to be wise, and to do really a great service to the world. Every person, every kid in school is valuable. And the problem is, with the way that our schools work, the elite who come to the top are valued, and those who don't do well feel they're not valued anymore. They've got no real place in our society. Even at the age of, 15 or 16, when you do your O-levels, people are branded as failures. Can you imagine what that does to a person? They can't make it anymore. So I think that we should stop branding people at such an early age. Yeah, sure, some people are great with academia, some people are great in other ways. We should actually respect every child and don't just measure them by their academic achievements or failures. This is what the love is. The door of my heart's open, no matter what you do in your life, son. If it doesn't work at school, let's find some other way where you can excel. There's so many other ways which people can excel in life.
Ajahn Brahmavamso, sometimes out of love for our children, we try to advise them so that they don't make the mistakes we've made, or we think that they're going down the road that it's not really good for them, but they don't always listen. So do we just let them make the mistakes then?
Yeah. Well, you know what it's like with children. Sometimes you've got to expose them to diseases when they're very young. That's the only way they can get the immunity in their system. As a mother, you can't overprotect them. They've got to get the colds and the flus, because when they're very young, that's where they get their immunity from. And as kids, we have to learn how to make mistakes. Obviously, not big ones. We try and limit the mistakes, but at least give kids a little bit of freedom to learn about life for themselves. And also that this old simile which I have, which I can't beat, is like a person who has a bird, and they keep that bird in a cage, and that cage door is always locked. One day you're going to leave that cage door open, and that bird is going to fly away forever. That's a simile of people who control their children, protect them overmuch. When your child leaves, it will leave forever. The second example is a person who keeps a bird in a cage, but the cage is just a wonderful cage. It's so comfortable, good food, such a loving place. They can leave that cage door open all the time. The bird might fly away, but will always come back because it's a great place to live. Now, do you understand that simile? If you really are kind, good, caring parents and wise parents who can guide the children without controlling them, can encourage them without putting too many demands upon them, then your children will appreciate you, will love you for the rest of your life. Sure, they may go away overseas, they may go away to other parts of Singapore, but they'll always come back because they love their mum and dad. Because their mum and dad taught them what love is. There's that balance there. Don't over-control, don't over-demand. Your children, they're not yours. They're beings which have come into mothers, into your womb, in Buddhism from previous lives. We give them a body, we nurture them, but we can only do so much. Like a gardener has a seed and grows that seed. Sometimes it's got a beautiful seed. It doesn't really matter what the gardener does. It always turns out into a beautiful tree. Sometimes the seed is defective. It doesn't matter what the parents do. The child sometimes turns out to be unteachable. I've known some parents, a couple of parents come to mind, excellent parents, but you couldn't think of wiser, kinder, more compassionate parents. But one of their children is in and out of jail all the time in Perth. They've given up on him, basically because bad seed but great parents. So remember that. Don't always criticize yourself and think, what did I do wrong, what did I do wrong, the way sometimes children don't turn out the way you would like them to turn out. It's just the seed, their karma. You can't do much about it. And I've seen sometimes some children, their parents just are monsters, they're hopeless. But they turn into some amazing people. It's a beautiful seed. It didn't really matter what the gardener was, it grew into a beautiful tree. So your children, they're not images of you. They're not Xeroxes of you. So they're individual beings. And I think mothers understand this. Because when you first hold your baby after it's born, you know that that's not you. That's not a part of your husband. It's a completely new being which you're holding in your arms. And sometimes you know it can be an old being. Where it's come from you don't know. But it's there as a gift for you to nurture for such a long time. It's not your baby. It's a being in your care.
Ajahn Brahm, we've read your book, we've heard your 108 stories,
Yeah.
and we put into practice, and yet happiness seems so elusive.
Well, you can ask for your money back.
It's a bit hard when we don't pay you anything. But you obviously have found a brand of happiness that we haven't found. And that's why you're always so happy, unfazed. We overwork you, you never complain, we never pay you anything.
Yeah.
And you're always happy. So what is it that you do that we're not doing, and you seem to be doing it right?
Okay. I think because I understand those stories. Because I wrote them. So it's even like the monks in my monastery, who've got a great knowledge of the Buddha's original teachings, they know Pali, they're great meditators. Sometimes even they have copies of that book in their huts, and they read it again and again and again, because some of those little stories are very profound. You don't just read it once, you read it again and again and again until you get the message. And listen, if you have the message from those stories in the books, you will never be unhappy. You'll always have that joy and happiness in life. It's like if you get a new computer, or a new microwave, or a new TV. And if you switch it on and it doesn't work, is it the TV's fault? Or is it because you haven't understood the instructions? Probably you haven't even read the instructions. So go back to the manual, read it again, and you understand what you're doing wrong. So, you've got the manual there, it does work. If it isn't working yet, it's because you haven't read it properly.
And how important is meditation in the scheme of things to find happiness?
How important is meditation? It's very, very important. It's actually where all those stories come from. Those stories are just about Buddhism and meditation, learning how to let go. Even that story, opening the door of your heart, that is an incredible, powerful way of meditating. The door of my heart's open to this moment right now. Whatever's happening now, I'm going to love this moment. Then you're at peace with this moment. When you're at peace with this moment, the whole world becomes peaceful. If you close your eyes, the whole world is peaceful. You just feel so much peace. The door of my heart's open to this peace. You get more and more peaceful, more and more peaceful. It's the way you meditate. Too often when people meditate, they're not open to this moment. They want something else. And they think they can't meditate. That's being negative. In meditation, the anger-eating demon. This moment now, don't give it anger. Don't say, get out of here, you don't belong. I want John, I want to fly through the air, I want to do this. I don't want my restless mind. Don't give anger to your restless mind. Those stories in that book apply to meditation as much as they apply to life. Your mind is an anger-eating demon too. You say, I don't want it to be like this. I don't want to have a mind thinking all of these things. I don't want to sort of be dull and sleepy. If you give it anger, the problem gets worse and worse and worse. So sometimes even when I close my eyes, I say, welcome. Mind, if you're tired, if you're restless, whatever's happening, come in. I'm at peace. I told this story, I think I don't know if I did tell it here, but this is a great story. In my 6th year as a monk, I found this perfect monastery in the north of Thailand. It was up in the mountains. Moreover, it was actually in a tea plantation. What more perfect monastery for an English monk? A tea plantation. I had much tea as I wanted. And I was in this monastery by myself. There was no one to bother me. I could meditate all day. I never had to give any talks. The people would feed me for 1 meal a day, but it was really good food, and they'd leave me alone for 23 and a half hours of the day. It was great. I was looking for this. And so the first 2 or 3 weeks of this, my meditation was going really well. I was just having so much fun. But then the meditation started to hit some difficulties. My mind started getting restless. But I really knuckled down. I was doing the breath meditation, watching the breath going in, breath going out. I was trying very hard. But it got worse. After a while, I was thinking the most unmonkish thoughts. Girls, romance, sex, the whole works. But I try and stop it. Come on, you're a monk, stop thinking those things. But I couldn't control my mind. And listen, it got so bad at one point, I thought I was really going to go crazy. If not crazy, just have to disrobe or do something, because these thoughts were just bursting into my mind. It was really embarrassing. I wouldn't even want to tell you some of those thoughts. And the worst part of it, I didn't have any other monk to talk to. So, in desperation, I went into the main hall, and I bowed in front of the Buddha statue and just asked, help. And I got, like a thought came up into my mind. I said, let's do a business deal. So the deal was, I'd allow my mind to think whatever it wanted for 1 hour of the day. Sex, girls, romance, anything goes from 3 p.m. till 4 p.m. For the rest of the time, you behave yourself. I thought that made a lot of sense to me, because if your mind wanted to think about these things, get it all over and done with, then you can go and meditate afterwards. But it didn't work the way I expected, because it was still as difficult as always. I was trying so hard to keep my mind in line, watch the breath and start thinking about an old girlfriend. Come on, shut up. Go back again. And it was like that all day. And it was just so tiring. But when it got to 3 p.m, I had to keep my side, the other side of the deal. I went up to my hut. I leant against the wall because I've been meditating all day. My back was sore. I put my legs out to relax them instead of being cross-legged. And I said, okay, mind, whatever you want to think about now, anything goes, anything. And for the next hour, it was the most peaceful hour of the day, just watching the breath going in, going out. And I learned a lesson there. The reason why my mind was being uncontrollable was because I was trying to control it. It was becoming so restless, it was an anger-eating demon. I said, I don't want you to be like this, be different. But as soon as I let it go, mind, whatever you want to do, you can do whatever you like. Then it was peaceful. It didn't want to have any restless thoughts at all. It just stayed with the breath so easily, so peaceful. I learned about anger-eating demon. I learned about mind, the door of my heart's open to you. If you want to think these thoughts, go, think them. I never wanted to think about those things anymore. It's basic psychology. Ask any psychologist about this. Negative psychology, they say. Because I learned that from my own experience. And when you understand these teachings in this book, and you practice them, when you close your eyes and do some meditation, wow, it works so well. And I just mentioned 2 of them there. About love, the door of my heart's open to your mind. Whatever you want to do, close your eyes, the door of my heart's open to your mind. Whatever happens, I'm at peace with that. Things you don't like, no anger, acceptance. You'll find you get into the most deepest of meditations. Free, easily.
Ajahn Brahm, being Lunar New Year, some of us have come here because we think that it's good luck to be close to you. Some of your holy energy will rub off on us. We'll find more happiness. But what is the highest blessing from a Buddhist perspective? I mean, that we should be aiming for. It's not money. It's not good health, perhaps, because we might not get that. So what is the highest blessing?
The highest blessing is peace of mind. Just when you're at peace with yourself, you find you'll be at peace with the whole world. And when you find that inner peace, you have something which no money will ever be able to buy. Look, you know that monk whose father is Ananda Krishnan, the guy who's the richest person in Malaysia. Ananda Krishnan, the guy who owns the Twin Towers, or one of them anyway, the Petronas Towers in KL. His son is a monk, spent a year with me over in Perth. The only son of a multi-billionaire. He doesn't want any of that money, he just wants to be a monk, that's all. Even years ago, there was another friend of mine. His father came along from Canada, didn't want to become a monk. This was about 30 years ago. And he came with a check, $1 million US. For his son, if you disrobe, no questions asked, $1 million US. He said, no thank you, I'd rather be a monk. What is worth more than $1 million US? What is worth more than the billions of dollars which this monk who's now in Thailand could have at any time he wanted? Peace of mind, that inner happiness. That's something which obviously money can't buy, which health doesn't affect, sickness, even death. We're all going to die sometime. If you die with that peace of mind, you'll die one happy little person. You will be the richest person. It's that inner peace, that inner happiness. And I gave a talk about this in Perth a couple of weeks ago. All this love and compassion, that's where it flows from inner peace. If you're at peace with yourself, then you can really give love to other people. If you're still in inner turmoil for yourself, you find your compassion, your love will always be a bit defective. You can't give yourself fully to another being. You're at peace with yourself. You learn that inner peace, and you'll have all the compassion in the world. Actually, in that little story, I had this argument with the principal of this top girls' school in Perth, St Hilda's Anglican College. This was many years ago. After I'd given a talk on Buddhism, we had this discussion. It turned into an argument. Where does love come from? She said it comes from God. I said, no, it comes from peace. I won the argument because I was peaceful. Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there any questions from the floor? Otherwise, we will end the talk here for the forum for today. Okay, if not, could we put say our sadhu 3 times? It means rejoice, and put our hands together. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
There you go.
And as a request from one of our members, could you please give us a chant, a blessing chant? It's not from me, but on behalf of the people request.
Okay. So actually the chanting does have some power because, again, whenever I do the chanting, I'm a meditating monk, so I focus all my energy and actually spread it all to you. And obviously the more you give, the more you have to give. The more you have inside of yourself to share to other people. So that I'm giving this, my energy to each one of you today.
So chanting is real, Ajahn Brahm?
Yeah, it works, yeah. Okay, I'll get on with it. Sabba Buddha Nubhavena Sabba Dhamma Nubhavena Sabba Sangha Nubhavena Buddha Ratanang Dhamma Ratanang Sangha Ratanang หินังรัตนานังอนุภาเวนะจัตุราสิทิสหัสสะธัมมคันธานุภาเวนะพิทคาทายานุภาเวนะจินสาวกานุภาเวนะสัพเพเทโรกาสัพเพเทปายาสัพเพเทอันตรายาสัพเพเทอุปาทวาสัพเพเทดุนิมิตาสัพเพเทอาวมังกลาวินาสันตุอายุวัตโคดานวัตโคสิริวัตโคยสวัตโคปาลวัตโควันวัตโคสุขวัตโคโหตุสัพพดาดุขาโรกาปายาเวระโสขาสัตุชุปาตวาอเนคาอันตรายาภิวินาสันตุเจเทจสาจายสิติดานังลาบังโสทิปากยังสุขังบาลังสิริอายุชวันโนชโปกังวุติทรยสวาสัทวาสัจอายุชจีวาสี